Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Sorry, I was fixing that as I was coming on because it was falling off. Anyways, today I'm going to wait for a few people to come on, so we'll do the Aloha cards. Just to wait. These are, how to show aloha and live aloha every day. What does it say? Actions of aloha from the Aloha Perspective. Well, those cards aren't mine, but anyway. I didn't think those existed. Sign up for a produce box from a local vendor. Yeah, I don't know that we have those where I'm at. Make time to call and reconnect with an old friend. Make time to call and reconnect with an old friend. Cook a new recipe and share it with someone. That's fun. Cook a new recipe and share it with someone. What else we got? Wow. Okay, these will be it. Drink more water. Drink more water. You must drink more water. Stay hydrated. Remember, you're a plant with complicated feelings, or just a complicated houseplant. So grow a native Hawaiian plant. That is not easy, especially depending on where you live. That is not easy. So there you go. Pretend to grow a Hawaiian plant. And donate newspapers to an animal shelter. But you can do more than that. You can donate supplies. You can donate blankets, old towels. They will take, anything that is in relatively good shape because they need it. So good morning, Muddy. How are you? All right. So today I have a bit of a different show. I was texting with Muddy over the weekend, and I found out that her church did something rather spectacular, and I love it. I love it. I love it. So I asked her today if I could share it, and I called it today's episode Santa in Atlanta. I know, I'm so creative, but Santa in Atlanta. But yeah, I wanted to share this because I thought it was just such a beautiful story and really kind of reminds us what this season is about. While we're all rushing around like chickens without a head and going, oh my God, I got this, or I don't have enough money to do that, or how am I going to make this happen? Or, I think sometimes we forget what the season's about. We forget that it's about, just being a community, being with people, being, just being. And I think sometimes we just blow our minds by trying too hard. We overthink everything, right? Like, is this gift enough? Did I get enough? Did I do enough? Some people don't want gifts. Some people feel like if they get a gift, they have to give a gift back. We forget about what this is all about. Now, when I give something, I am not expecting anything back. I'm really not, because I like to give. I do. I enjoy giving. It brings me joy, but also, if I, if I actually put some time into it and give it a lot of thought, I think, I just, like those Hallmark moments, right? You just want to see people happy and excited and just, the look on their faces. So, Sammy shared a story with me about one of her parishioners. Now, just a little bit of a backstory. She goes to a small church, and I mean, it's not like I don't know how to put this. It's not a chain of churches. Okay, I mean, and by that I mean, like, you have like just all kinds of churches that, like, oh, we belong to this, we belong to that. They're a Christian church, but everybody's welcome. Okay, everybody. When this part gets a little bit sensitive, but when they decided to not change the way they do things and still welcome everybody across the board, they lost some members, which is just sad because God loves everybody. All right, but they didn't like the fact that there were certain groups of people who were still going to be allowed, and they're like, sorry, we love God and God loves everybody, and so we're keeping it open to everyone. And unfortunately, they lost some people. So it's she always calls it her small church. But so Sammy knows this woman, and one of the church people, one of the parishioners. And she's known her since she was a kid. And times have been tough, okay? 2025, not the easiest year. But, anyways, I'm doing this delicately because I don't want to name names. All right. Not that anyone I think that she knows would watch this, but I don't want to name names. But anyway, someone in her church who is currently, who is now a young single mom of 3. Don't know the backstory on that. Just got she's now a young single mother of 3. Recently just lost her job. Of all the times to lose a job, it had to happen right around Christmas with 3 kids. Now, I'm not a parent, never been a parent, obviously, but, you know enough people, right? Especially at my age, you get to know enough people that, when they have kids, Christmas becomes about the kid, about the children, because you just want them to have this magical time. You want them to have this, you don't want them to worry about your worries. So you try to do everything perfectly for them. So of course, she's upset. She's lost her job. She was barely making it as it was, barely making ends meet as it was. So the church got together and decided to sponsor this family. Toys, craft kits, etc. As Sammy put it. And also, there's this really pretty yellow something bird outside. It's so tiny. I'm sorry. I've never seen this kind of bird before. Wow. See, that's a sign. It looked green and yellow. Oh, there it went. That's a sign. I'm winking because it's almost like Archangel Gabriel saying, we got them. So anyways, so they did all these things. And of course, Sammy, found out that the babies love sweets, so she made cookies, and oh my god, these cookies looked amazing. And yes, she did test them for quality assurance, because you got to make sure, right, when you're baking stuff for people, you got to make sure that it is edible when it goes out the door. She's all, of course I had to have one. I'm like, yeah, that's quality assurance. You're just doing that check to make sure. But I thought about this, and I thought, wow, and I asked her yesterday how it went. She said, oh, she was so overwhelmed. And even though I wasn't there, even though I wasn't a participant in any of this, it filled my heart so much. It made me smile. It brought me joy. And it just made me think, gosh, there's such wonderful people in this world. And they're looking after the little ones, but they're not just looking after the little ones. They're looking after the mom, because here she's worried that she's not going to be able to give her kids Christmas. And poof, everybody got together, put Sammy in charge, but everybody got together and said, okay, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things that people can do for one another. It wasn't one of those things like our company used to sponsor different families. We would have each person would get I can't remember if it was a whole family. I think it was a whole family, and then we would all just pick what was on their wish list and then bring it in, and then one of the bosses would drop it off. And after she left, we tried to keep it going, but it's almost like nobody cared after that. And so some of us just took it upon ourselves to do things like that. Or they do have charity things through my old work where you can go wrap presents so that kids do have these, things to open. And even yesterday, right? So Dad and I were watching Scrooge, the one with Albert Finney. That's his favorite Christmas movie. And, Bob Cratchit's walking through the town, and it's like four surprise presents, mystery gifts for $1, right? And then the Santa there was just like, the Santa there. And I say it like that because he knew the guy and he said the guy's name. But Santa's representative, just said, hey, he's all 5 mystery gifts for $1 because I know you have 5 kids. And it's just, even though that's a movie, someone thought to put that in there. Because sometimes I think we get away from what faith is. Sometimes I think we get away from what Christmas is about. You have all these people, Jesus is the reason for the season. You have all these other people yelling, hey, the Christians stole this from us. And it's true. Okay. It's not wrong. All right. A lot of holidays that are religious, that are based in religion, were actually pagan holidays beforehand. But I'm not saying that to, just kind of run over anyone's beliefs. I'm saying that because sometimes, we're not that creative to come up with our own stuff. But a lot of times it was done to drive those people out. And we don't want to drive those people out. We all want to come together as a community. We want to be, one. We want to have people who celebrate Yule or who celebrate solstice and who celebrate Christmas or Xmas, however you want to say it, or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, all these different things. But somehow we seem to have lost our way. And so this beautiful thing that this church did was just, it reminded me, what the Christmas spirit is really about, what the holiday spirit is really about. What all these things are supposed to mean to us, and we somehow seem to have forgotten. We've made it so commercialized, that we really forget what it's about. To me, Christmas is just spending it with my loved ones. It's being there with the people I care about. And, sometimes I've lost my way. Since my mom passed away, I lost my way. And, it's not always easy, and it's just kind of like, do I really want to, you kind of get that, do I really want to drive that far? Because I don't live that close to anybody in my family. When there's a holiday, I got to drive far. The only person that drives farther is Thanksgiving, and that's baby sibling and her family, because they're coming from a whole other state. But, when it comes to Christmas and all that, it's trafficky in California. And then sometimes I forget that it's not about the traffic I have to sit in. It's not about the drive home. It's about being with people that I love, being with people I care about. And what I love is that on Christmas morning, these children are going to wake up and Santa will have come, and, the mom won't have to worry about it. She can just enjoy this time with her kids. Sorry, I don't know what is happening with my camera. She can just enjoy her time with her kids. She can enjoy the morning. And I don't know her circumstances. I don't know her background. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. See, people will hear, a young mom of 3 kids, and they'll automatically come up with 5,000 reasons why. But we don't know her circumstances. And we shouldn't be judging her either. Nobody should be judging her. I'm just going to say this on the side, okay? Because, we'll save that for another day. But yeah, nobody should be judging anybody. Like I said, keep your eyes on your own paper. Whatever has happened, you don't know their story. And sometimes people will be like, oh, pss, 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 and then they find out the story and they pretend like they never talked behind their back. Just be good people. You don't have to have religion to be a good person. You don't have to be a person of faith to have, to be a good person. People of every walk of life have the opportunity to be a good person, whether you're an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, just a person who, might believe in God but doesn't subscribe to religion. Maybe you're spiritual, maybe you're metaphysically spiritual. It doesn't matter where you turn your beliefs to. You should be a good person because it comes from your heart. Not because some book tells you to, not because some, thing that you follow tells you to. We should be doing it on our own. We should be waking up every morning and thinking, how can I make the world a better place, as opposed to what crap can I fill it with today? And this beautiful gesture, which might seem like a small gesture to many, just made an entire family's Christmas. It reminded them that, people care about me. And, it might even give them the courage to ask for more help. If they need the help, to ask for it. That's one of the things we all struggle with, right? Is asking for help. And I'm going to say this. I would say that, it's a generational thing. Gen X, boomers, the people before the baby boomers, early millennials, we don't know how to ask for help because we were taught to do things we were taught to be self-sufficient, and as we've gotten older and we realize, shit, I wish I would have asked for help. We're teaching the next generation how to ask for help. And, it is very difficult. I mean, I was going over the Capricorn traits the other day because, by the way, welcome to the season of the Capricorn. We are in the season of the Capricorn now. But it says, one of the traits is stubborn and, trouble asking for support. And that's not wrong. But I don't think that's just a zodiac trait. I think that's a lot of people. A lot of people struggle with asking for help. And I think 9 times out of 10, it's pride. Because we just want to think that we can do it ourselves. Right? Because that's what we were raised, to be self-sufficient. To say, hey, I can do this by myself. I don't need your help. When we probably do. And that's been a struggle for me. But I love that this person confided in somebody and said, I don't know what to do because I just lost my job and, I don't know how I'm going to make Christmas happen for my kids. And I love even more that somebody said, all right, troops, let's get together. We got to make this happen. And they did. Sammy said her den looked like Santa had been there with gifts all over the floor and, wrapping and everything. So, I love that. And if there's one thing to take away from this story, it isn't about a family in need. It's about a community coming together to support one another, to be there for one another, to have that magical whim where they just decide to bake cookies and then, they bake cookies for one set of people. And it's like, what the hell? I'm going to bake cookies for everybody. Bring them to church, And I love that. I love that because that's the reason for this season. No matter what your beliefs are, no matter what your faith is, the reason for this season is to be a community, to be, kind to one another. That should be the reason every single day. I know that we get cranky. I've been cranky, I've been cranky. I've been cranky because, I am at a certain age where my body's changing again. And I think I finally found something. And I don't know, it could be, it could just be like that placebo effect, right? Like, oh, I think I'm taking it, so it must be working. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, even if it is a placebo effect, it's working, and I'm grateful. But I also thought to myself, you know what? I've been in a funk for the last couple of months. And after reading this story that Sammy shared with me, and it was very random that she shared it with me, but I was so grateful that she did because I realized I've been stuck in my own head. I have been very within myself and not really looking at the broader picture, looking at the big picture, and remembering what we're all here for. And we're all here to be there for one another, to lift each other up. In a very uncertain climate that we live in right now, not the weather climate, just the climate itself. When everybody is just kind of raking each other over the coals, we have to remember what our basic instincts are. And our basic instincts are telling us we need to be better people. We need to be kinder to one another. We need to be just better. And that doesn't mean we're bad people, okay? That doesn't. It doesn't at all. I think a lot of us naturally are just good people. But then we get on social media, we go down these rabbit holes, and then we get angry about things. And then we start forgetting that when we're angry, we're putting that out into this world. And we need to find a way to just, release control. I read something today that reminded me, you have to release control because control is fear. Control is fear. And this mother released control of holding all this stuff in and trying to figure it out by confiding in someone who said, all right, you know what, troops? Like I said, troops? Santa, Christmas troops? We're going to make this happen. all the little elves got together to make this Christmas happen for this family. And that should be our reminder that we need to be grateful for every day. You know, even if our circumstances aren't the best, even if our circumstances aren't what we want them to be, we should wake up every morning grateful that we are here, that we are breathing, that we have a chance at a new day. And it's up to us whether we want to utilize it or squander it and hope for the next day. But for as many days as you have coming, as many tomorrows as you have, that is a chance to start anew. And we have to decide, you know, do I want to put good into this world, or do I want to keep putting negative stuff into this world? Now, I admit I fall down the social media rabbit hole a lot, but I remind myself sometimes, like, no, you know what, no overkill. And so I find myself posting now a little less negative stuff, okay, politics, and more positive stuff, trying to remind people, hey, you know what, get out of your head and into your heart. Oh, that's so sweet. Sammy says someone also bought her a Walmart gift card. I don't know how much it was. It was none of my business, but my pastor told me it was a significant amount. That's so wonderful, because, you know, that could be their Christmas meal. Maybe mom can get some stuff for herself too, you know, or, you know, just whatever it is they have, you know. Yeah, see, that way she can get food and clothes as well. Well, see, well, Muddy and I are on the same brainwave, but yeah, that's amazing. You know, I'm that weird person, right? That when I was a kid, you know, I mean, nobody wanted to get socks. Now it's like, because, you know, everybody knows I love the goofy socks. Not goofy like Disney goofy, but I mean silly. I love silly socks. I love silly socks. They're my favorite. I don't think I own a regular pair of socks, except for my compression socks that I have to fly with because of my doctor told me to, because of my heart. But I know, like, you need to, and somebody out there needs to create fun compression socks, all right? Because plain old black socks is so boring. I feel like I'm a man wearing those socks because, you know, those are the kind of socks men wear, right? Under their trousers or their pants. And, or brown, I don't know, white, black, brown, earth colors. Someone needs to make fun compression socks, all right? Now, back to the story. So, but yeah, I mean, clothes, I remember when I was a kid, it's like, why are you buying me clothes? I want toys. But then when I had to start buying my own clothes, it's like, please, feel free to give me clothes. So anyways, I think our takeaway is this. Be kind to one another. Show compassion, show love. Don't show judgment, all right? Because we've all been in a place that's been difficult. We've all been in a situation that has just hurt. And we've all been in that position where we're afraid to say anything, either because of pride or because we're afraid of being judged. Because we don't want to be judged. We don't want people to sit there and go, oh, whisper, whisper, whisper. Don't be that person. Don't be that person that sits around the table and says, oh, she has cancer. You know, just as an example, right? Like it's some kind of big secret that nobody knows about. I come from a big family, all right? I mean, yeah, I am, you know, party of one when it comes to being an only child, and I adopt my siblings. But I just kind of like, hey, best friend, we've been best friends for a long time, be my sibling, you know. But no, seriously, older sibling really is like a sibling to me. And being an only child as well, I think we just kind of gravitated towards each other. And same with baby sibling. I mean, she does have a brother, but, you know, they're half siblings. So, you know, but yeah, anyway, sorry, sidetracking, squirrel. But it doesn't take much to be kind, and it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, you know. Sammy says, right, when I was a kid, I hated getting socks or underwear or stuff like that. Now I would be doing a happy dance over fun socks or underwear. Same thing with clothes. I never got underwear for Christmas, but I did get clothes. Not socks necessarily, but I did get a lot of clothes. And yeah, I was just kind of like, where are the toys? But when I look back on that now, it's kind of like, you know, it was kind of funny that I got clothes, because for the first 9 years of my schooling existence, from kindergarten to 8th grade, I went to a private school. We had a uniform. I mean, we had free dress day, and yes, I had to wear clothes, like after when school wasn't out, but it's like, I didn't need a lot of clothes back then because, hello, I had a uniform. I didn't have to worry about it, just clothes were like, the uniform and some nice clean shirts for the week. So, but yeah, now, I love when people send me socks because my friends know me. They all know I love goofy socks. I love silly socks. I love, I like it to be colorful. I could wear all black and rainbow socks and just be happy. Actually, I might do that. I might do that for Christmas. I have a pair of rainbow socks I haven't worn yet, and I absolutely love them, but it's like, where am I going to wear this? They kind of remind me, I don't know if anybody, so now we're obviously steering away from the family and all of that we learned, and we're just kind of, freewheeling now. But does anybody remember Rainbow Bright from the 80s? She had a cartoon, but she was also a doll. But I can't remember what she was first. If she was a cartoon first and then a doll, or if she was a doll and then became a cartoon, or if maybe she was a comic, I don't know. But Rainbow Bright, I don't know her story, but I just remember that her whole outfit was just a rainbow. And I love it. Now, we're going to shift into another gear here. All right. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to wear rainbows because I don't want people to think I'm gay. Who freaking cares? All right. They needed a symbol. They took the symbol that's beautiful, that is all encompassing. The rainbow is all the colors. And it's beautiful. And it's a sign of hope. It's a sign of, God's promise, right? If you're religious. But it's a sign of hope. And it's just a beautiful symbol that anybody can love. If someone wants to go up to you and just automatically judge you and say, oh, well, screw them. You know who you are. If you're not gay, you're not gay. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the rainbow. They'll share it. They'll happily share it. Our LGBTQ friends. But no. Everyone's got to make a big deal out of it. I think that's the other thing too. We got to stop making such a big deal about it. All right. You have all these people that say, oh, the Bible this, the Bible that, and then they're horrible to other people. That's why the other reason I wanted to share Sammy's story about, what her church did, because her church is just, they're all encompassing. If I lived in Georgia and I was going to go to church, I'd go there. Even being a Catholic, I'd go there because I know I'd be welcome. I know nobody would judge me. I know nobody would say, oh, what happened in your past? Or if they knew my past, judged me for it, because that wasn't my fault. I didn't make that happen. They just love one another. They love all their people. They love the people that come in. They're welcoming. They're all encompassing. And that's how everything should be. That's why I love the new Pope. And the last one that passed away, Pope Francis, and now Pope Leo. These guys are legit. They're like, we gotta get back to basics. No more of this bullshit. Although I'm sure that's not what they said. It may be in private going, sorry, God. But, but I love it because they're cleaning house. They're reminding us what it is to be, a follower of God. For the first time in decades, these two popes have made me feel proud to be Catholic. Even though I'm not a practicing Catholic. They've given me hope for the church I grew up in. Pope Francis, embrace everybody. I don't care how they identify. As long as they come to church, why should I judge them? As long as they put their faith in God, why should I judge them? And I have gay friends who, lost jobs because they worked for a Catholic school. This is decades ago. I mean, about a decade ago. Maybe, yeah, not that long ago. But just even a decade ago. Sometimes people go from one end to the other, right? So, we need to be better. We need to be better. 2026 is right around the corner. And we have to do better. We have to be better. We have to stop raking each other over the coals. If we feel like we have friends and family that need to wake up, because they do, and get out of their hate mongering minds, then, pray it away. But will it away, manifest it away. Just, you know, we start by doing this by being good people. We start putting love in this world by taking care of our community. Like the church in Atlanta. Like I said, Santa in Atlanta. It just rhymed. That's why I liked it. But they were the Santa in Atlanta. And now because of them, because of an entire community coming together, this family will have a beautiful Christmas. Mom doesn't have to worry. The kids are going to be excited. All the wonderful things, you know? And these people didn't think twice about doing it. They just said, let's do it. No judgment, no nothing. And Sammy, thank you for approving. Because she is the one in Atlanta. But it did. I was going like Christmas in Atlanta, Santa in Atlanta. I'm like, oh, Santa in Atlanta works because, you know, it rhymes. But yeah, I know that this conversation has been all over the board. But I think the point I'm trying to make is, somebody told me once, I'm going to end it with this thought. Somebody told me once, when I was down on myself, I thought somebody didn't like me. Mom Barbara comes charging out of the room and you know what? And I looked at older sibling and I said, oh, you're in trouble. And she's all, not her, you. And she looks right at me with that mommy look, And she just says, you know, you are no better than anybody else and nobody is better than you. We're all the same. We come here to do whatever it is we're supposed to do, and we all bring with us whatever gift it is that we bring. And I was just kind of like, literally, I didn't know what to say. But what do you say? Because she wasn't wrong. But my self-esteem was so minimal that the people I just met, I really didn't think they liked me because they were, you know, kind of living on a different tier of existence than I was. And, you know, they knew older sibling and, well, the girl did or does. And yeah, I just, you know, but those are such profound words. Basically what she was saying was, we're all equal across the board, but we're all just here to do a different purpose. So you remember this. You are no better than anybody else and nobody is better than you. We're all the same. We're just here to do different things. Okay, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Merry, Merry Christmas to Sammy's friends and her church. I don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but it will be something. So we got a short week. I know we got a short week. I may or may not do a Christmas Eve message. I know. Someone's all, are you going to have a show on Christmas Eve? And I said, well, I could be like England's royalty and do my Christmas message. But yeah, but on Christmas Eve, you know, give them my Christmas, I don't even know what they call it. The Christmas address? I don't know. The Queen's address, the King's address now. I don't like the King. But, we'll see what happens. Anyways, but I will be back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelly Marie Lucas. Anybody can watch. You can also find me across the social media board. It all starts at YouTube. So if you like, you can click and subscribe. I am looking into Substack because I think I want to do some writing on, you know, the anti-midlife crisis. So, well, wait, older sibling, why not what? Oh, do a Christmas address? Address my people? I need a crown. Oh, I have the garland headband. That could be my crown. I'll just wear it like this. So anyways, whatever we do. All right. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you back here tomorrow. And, yeah, I already said have a great day, but have a wonderful day again.